in Rishikesh, Tapovan, which has been going through a massive real estate boom over the last...
My fight here is not just for my children, my school.
If I can just leave this, I will never come back to Hollywood.
I will never come back to Hollywood. I will never take another drug.
Maybe a struggling actress?
Very struggling.
You met Osho in 1978.
They asked at the gate if I wanted to be initiated as a disciple, and I said no. And did I want to change my name? And I said no. And they called my name.
99, just shy of 100.
We want to see his 99 Rolls Royces.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Well,
A lot going on.
a lot going on.
You're non-stop. It's incredible. I'm sitting here with Prabha Dawba. It's the first time that I meet her, and she has graced me with the opportunity to sit down for this talk. So generous of you while there's so much going on in your life. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We're sitting in the Ramana School. Over 250 students currently study over here.
Mm-hmm. Free, absolutely free. They get
Absolutely
everything.
free.
Their tuition, teachers, uniforms, books, medical care. Hopefully they don't need much.
You've educated over 25,000 students in India.
Yes.
Started over 13 schools that have then been taken over by the Ministry of Education over here
Yes. Yes.
under your care and guidance
Yes.
and
Well,
generosity.
how much guidance they took, I'll never know. But we tried.
In many cases, we learn to let go in life and
I
surrender
had to. I
control.
couldn't keep running that many schools. They were all off-road, except the one in the slums of Rishikesh. All the others you had to climb to.
And here we are in a very busy city in Rishikesh, Tapovan, which has been going through a massive real estate boom over the last few years.
Year.
Yeah, COVID, tourism.
After COVID tourism.
Yes.
Yes.
And-
Huge. Unthinkable.
So what a beautiful property. I've been able to tour, to go around, witness the beautiful faces. We sat for a birthday celebration and we saw the kids sing, and you fed me, and this has been some of the best food I've eaten in India. And I've been around.
It's all grown here. It's all organic. It makes a big difference. Food to table, but within a few hours.
You're under threat of having to be shut down because of a court case.
We're under threat of big corrupt hoteliers wanting this land.
Wanting this land.
When I bought this land 30 years ago, it was very cheap. It's worth over 20 million US.
When you came here, there were rice fields
Yes.
or other vegetables.
Yeah, only rice.
And you decided to open a school, and now you're surrounded by hotels. It's actually threatening.
No, they
the
want
shape.
the land.
I'd like to, before getting into that, and of course we wish you the uppermost strength, fortitude, a little bit of luck with God's grace for the path forward. I'd love to talk about the path that got you here. I've heard a little bit about your story as an actress in California. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your younger years, maybe a struggling actress?
Very struggling.
Very struggling?
It was Me Too at its biggest peak.
Yeah, and so you have many, many stories to share. I'd just like to talk very briefly about the story that got you on this path. It was one sentence you read in a book that was handed over to you during a moment of crisis.
It was an Osho book, and I was in a crisis because after 10 years of struggling in Hollywood, it had come down to winding up at a private estate in Palm Springs with a lot of the Hollywood studio bosses present, where an argument was taking place as to which guru would be the most bankable. And I was asked to prove a producer's point that the Bhagwan, everything. He called him the rich man's sex guru. Anything that came out of his mouth would be money in the bank. So they wanted me to read from one of his books to prove the point. And I did read, and I was in India 8 days later. And I really haven't left.
What's the first sentence that you read in that book?
Everything in your life is a lie. You're peddling your soul door to door, which is exactly what I was doing.
And you had to look up and look around you when you read that sentence?
No, it was so blatant.
It hit home.
And he said, find that which can never be taken. Your authentic true self.
You have so much life within you and you're so sharp.
Well,
And going from a young girl in Palm Springs, the story you told me was incredible. Kind of story that people write books about.
well,
And there's a red Ferrari in the story.
there's
And
a
there's
red
cocaine.
Ferrari and there's a lot of cocaine. Yes. It is being written. There's a book in progress. It's called If I Had a Dress of Red Feathers, I'd Fly. But there's never time. You know, I thought it would be now. And I have an 8-story illegal structure constructed on my land falling down onto my children. It's not really the time you sit down and pen an autobiography. Or maybe
No.
it is.
May not be the need of the hour or the call of the moment.
There have been a few things that require a little more urgent attention. I believe if the world truly heard and understands what's happening here, there are millions that would rise to know that's wrong and that should not be happening. And those children's lives, education, future should not be at stake for money.
Never.
Never.
And
there's so many who feel that, but they don't know. So taking any opportunity to let that be spoken, let that be known, that this is happening, and it does happen. We're not the first, but I want us to be the last. My fight here is not just for my children, my school. All the children in my school come from the lowest caste. A word I never want to use. They are all called untouchable, and they come from the poorest of the poor. 80% of them live under scraps of plastic or wood or a mat if they're lucky. Their future is in tremendous jeopardy. And partly why this could have gone as far as it's gone is they have no voice. It falls on empty ears. Their ancestral homes are bulldozed. They're gone. Overnight, I found myself in my nightgown in July in front of a bulldozer trying to save one of those homes. I was too late. They had to drag me out of the way because they ordered the bulldozer not to stop. Go over me if I don't move. And this should not be happening anywhere in the world. And I can't do everything about all injustice, but I can do something about this. And if we win this, it's a landmark for freedom for the poorest of the poor. It gives them a voice. They don't have one now.
you are that voice. You've also educated a lot of people. I met some of them that have PhDs. One of them that was here today with a PhD in psychology.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
you have compounded that force of goodness through your good actions and through your deeds and the programs that you've created.
That is sure, but it's not wide enough spread.
You met Osho in 1978. I thought it was in the US, and you said no, it was here in India,
Pune,
in his ashram in Pune.
yes.
What got you there? Did you just look up his address after looking at the book?
After the book, I searched, where is this person?
And
I found his books in a bookstore in Hollywood, and it said had the address of his ashram. So I bought a ticket and got on a plane.
And the first time you met him, what was that like?
It was amazing because I was so resistant. I had a fantasy, as it were, that he would be. I looked at a map. Actually, they said it was Pune. So in the bookstore was a topography map. And it looked like Pune was in the mountains, which it was. But I assumed it was the Himalayas, which I wanted it to be, and that he would be there in a small cottage. And I would come and he would welcome me and share his wisdom and his knowledge and perhaps some of his powers. And it was a huge shock for me to arrive in one of Pune's largest cities, which I had never anticipated. And then to go to his ashram where, I don't know, I found it was so foreign to anything I'd ever done or experienced. And I found it very difficult. And I went into the office and pretty much demanded an interview and was laughed at and told that I would need to do a 21-day meditation camp. And I responded saying, I'm not a Girl Scout. I didn't come halfway around the world to do a camp. I want to meet the Bhagwan. And they said, yeah, after the camp. Wow. I was so angry. It was so much what I had never anticipated that I decided on the spot to leave. And I went to the travel agency and it was pretty full. And you had to take a number, and I took it and I waited and I waited. And when my number came up and I rushed to the chair, she put a lunch sign in front of me. And I said, no. I waited all this time. You can't go to lunch now. I said, come back, 2:30. I was even more angry. So I had this insane headache like I've never had in my life. I'm not prone to headaches, before or after. That was, wow. So I went to rest, I thought. And the headache got much worse. And I actually woke up 21 days later. I burned with a very high fever. People were there taking care of me, wrapping me in plastic full of crushed ice. The woman had given me a pass for the 21-day camp. And when I actually regained consciousness, that pass was right there on the bedside table. Many people had taken care of me, and one of them, an amazing man, he was the head of a hospital in Dallas, Texas, and he said that Bhagwan was calling me. I should come that night to the ashram where a gathering called darshan, where many would meet him. And I went. I was still very, very weak from 21 days of high fever. I was still quite confused. They asked at the gate if I wanted to be initiated as a disciple, and I said no. And did I want to change my name? And I said no. And then I went in, and there were many of us, maybe 50 or 60, in a beautiful courtyard covered. And he came in and sat down, and I was in awe of his grace. I had never seen anyone just walk as though their feet didn't touch the ground, kind of floated in a way, sat down. Every gesture was grace. I was just looking at that, and they called my name. I didn't know what to do. They said, go there. Go where? Go in front of him. He was in a chair. And I went, but I went a little ways because I was shy and I didn't know what was going on. And he laughed and he said, come. And I moved maybe 3 inches. And finally, he got on the edge of his chair. He took the mala, which is initiating you to be a disciple, and lassoed me with it and pulled me. Everyone was laughing. Now you have come home. And I was mesmerized by his gaze. I'd never in my entire life, super dysfunctional childhood, horrible, but I'd never experienced unconditional love. It was just pouring. And I thought, well, he doesn't know how bad I am. He doesn't know anything about me. He couldn't possibly be looking at me like that if he did. And he just started telling me that he was going to give me the name Dwabha, which meant the chaos from which stars are born, and telling me about my life, points that no, I hadn't told anybody one single word. And how could he know these things? And I was a dancer. I loved to dance. I danced, I worked as a dancer. And I was obsessed with Nijinsky, obsessed in a bizarre way. I mean, I read everything I could get. I went, back then movies were reel to reel. There was a guy up in a booth, and I had a friend who I got to screen them for me so I could actually see him defy gravity. In his dance, he could defy gravity. It was extraordinary, his story for me.
What was your name?
Magdalena.
Magdalena.
Lucille O'Hara.
Lucille O'Hara. And
Irish background.
An Irish
First generation American.
well, we have something in common. My mother is from the west side of France, Brittany, so they're Celts.
Well, he started talking to me about Nijinsky. No one knew me in Pune, and telling me, we know that Nijinsky died in an asylum. He was considered mad. And he said, I give you that name because you're balancing on the same tightrope across the abyss of madness that Nijinsky fell into. How could he know these things? And then he asked me, how long will you be here? And I said, no, I have a ticket now in 2 days. And he again laughed. And he said, you've come home. You will never leave. Be here forever. And I have been. He was right.
And you've made many homes since.
Yes.
It's incredible that I heard your story as a young actress. Predators that were much more open and aggressive about how they went about these things back in those days.
I think
that they
so.
weren't gonna last.
The Me Too movement, the exposure of people like Harvey Weinstein, numerous others, has brought an awareness to it. Then it was hidden, and you were even threatened. If you ever disclose that I tried to grab you or whatever, you'll be ruined. You'll be shamed. You'll never work in this town. I was told that repeatedly.
You were in a situation once where you asked God for a way out.
Yes.
You said, if I can just leave this, I will never come back to Hollywood.
I will never come back to Hollywood. I will never take another drug. I will turn my life around. Get me out of this.
Not only did you get the signs, but you went through a car crash.
Yes, the car crashed almost immediately. The prayer wasn't dry on my lips.
And 24 hours later, you were presented this book.
Yes.
As you faced one
Obstacle.
scary situation after the other.
Yes.
And you ended up here. And how did children come to find you?
I stayed there in Pune as long as Osho was in the body. The only time I ever left was to get money and get back as fast as possible. And then when he moved to Oregon, I followed as well. And thank God we didn't stay. And when he came back, I came back. And then I stayed until he left the body.
You were a disciple of Bhagwan.
Yes.
Followed him to the U.S.
Did Wild Wild Country to the max. I'm in it. I'm a bartender in the bar.
Are you?
Yes.
Incredible. So they were mixing alcohol with spirituality.
Yes. We had a bar. We had a casino.
You had a bar and a casino.
You had to act out whatever it was you needed to act out.
And so what was this? Was there no constraint at all over there? And was there a balance that you found sat well with you between the spiritual practices, the yoga, and the freedom and the access?
His philosophy: celebrate everything, embrace everything, approach everything with absolute consciousness. Observe.
And this is interesting because we're in Rishikesh, and alcohol is not formally allowed over
No,
here.
but it's more here than it was on the ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't, nothing was hidden. There was nothing hypocritical.
Yes.
You want a bar? Build a bar. You want a casino? Build a casino. Play out your plays,
And what
but openly and consciously, not hidden as it is here,
And
hypocritically.
there's a big divide between people that are on the conscious path and people that practice meditation or certain faiths and whatnot. And alcohol these days.
We work 12 to 14 to 18 hours a day, 365 days a year. There were not holidays. And at the end of a hard day's work, we often went and had an ice cold beer. I don't gamble, so the casino wasn't of interest to me.
And what got you to work with children? You came back to India.
I
We're
came back
dropping
with
timelines a lot, but you're keeping up very well.
He left the body, and before leaving the body, I had heard him say two things. He said so many things that touched me, but two that touched me especially, probably because of my extremely dysfunctional, abusive childhood, when he spoke of the conscious way of parenting, with freedom, with creativity, with non-judgmental love. It touched something so deep. I never had any of that, the contrary, and it rang the bell of that is how it must be. And one day, I want to do that.
So you had that hope within you.
Yeah, when I heard that, I didn't have it before. When I heard him say those things, I said, I want to do that. But not now. I don't want to leave the commune. I'm doing what I'm doing here. The other thing that touched me very deeply is when he spoke on Ramana Maharshi. And he said, if he didn't have a guru, if he had had a guru, it would have been Ramana Maharshi. That he was the brightest light that ever came to this earth. Not knowing that he had died the year I was born, just hearing that discourse, I made note of that too. If he's gone, I will find this Ramana. Yeah, right. He's been gone a long time.
We're in Ramana School, the school that you named.
Exactly, and that's why. So he was now gone, and I proceeded to want to find Ramana, and found out that he left the day, in December, and I was born in March, same year. Okay. He has an ashram, yes, it's in Tamil Nadu. I wonder if I should go anyway. Was there a successor? Not really, they said. Oh, so much for that. And children and where, and I didn't know what to do. But I was currently supporting myself to stay in India all those years by producing collections of clothing, designing in Bali, and selling them around the world, but primarily Ibiza. So I had, before Osho leaving, I had borrowed money to produce such a collection. So it felt like India was closing. I can't find Ramana, can't find a successor, kids, where, how, blah. So I started putting the nuts and bolts together to leave and do something in the world. And the first thing I had to do was pay back the borrowed money. So I reached, and the woman was gone. She had found a new guru called Papa G, and I'm like, no, I don't want a daddy. I've been there, no. But there were no emails back then. I sent a fax. Give me your bank account. I have your money. I'll send it. She responded, no, you have to come. No. I don't want another guru, and for sure not a daddy. She insisted that I use some of the money, buy a ticket, and bring the money.
So your relationships with your gurus were more or less lifelong relationships?
Yes, I would say. Osho was not in the body, and now I was in Lucknow in the presence of, not knowing when I went there anything. He was disciple and possibly the most living awakened of Ramana Maharshi.
Ramana Maharshi.
So there we are. I couldn't find Ramana. I found, without knowing it, it was presented.
So there's an incredible mix that we see in your life of knowing what you want and
I wanted that. I felt it. I felt his energy. I stayed. And the first thing he did was take me to Ramana's ashram down in Tamil Nadu, where immersed in, he left the day I was born, and yet he was as present there as he'd ever been. Sitting in the room where he meditated, sitting in the hall, sitting where in his samadhi.
is this a relationship that we can compare to something that others might be more familiar with in their lives? How do we define a guru-disciple relationship?
I don't know for anybody else. I can only speak for myself. With Osho, he emanated a grace, an unconditional love, a consciousness, a conscious awareness that I wanted. That's all.
People touch the feet of their gurus.
Osho never asked anyone to touch his feet.
What I'm trying to get to is,
Mm-hmm.
is the guru a gateway?
I believe they're a gateway. I believe they are an embodiment of what I think our soul longs for, all of us, whether we know it or not. But when I recognized it, when it was in front of me, like you are, for the first time, everything in my being said, yes, this is what I want. I want this. I want this grace. I want this consciousness. I want this ability to love unconditionally.
What would you define this consciousness as?
He was aware of every second, every motion, every gesture. There was no mess going on in his head. It was just crystal clarity.
Do you have faith in God?
I grew up having tremendous faith in Jesus. I told you I prayed when my life was in danger.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I'd never heard of Buddha. I'd never heard of anything. I grew up in redneck Colorado with Mormons, which I wasn't very fond of, Pentecost, Baptists, but we heard only God, Jesus, the devil, and the disciples of Jesus.
So you grew up with a faith, with a Christian faith?
Absolute. I was named after Mary Magdalene. That's why I was named Magdalena.
And did you have to give up your faith?
No.
No.
No one ever asked me to. Osho spoke exquisitely on Jesus. When he spoke on all the masters. He spoke on the Sufis. He spoke on Buddha. He spoke on Jesus. He spoke on Muhammad with equal appreciation and love. And from every discourse of different masters, I could take this from this. I loved his discourses on Jesus because it had been my experience growing up. They never asked any kind of renunciation. None of them.
Was there something that came after faith? When you were younger, was it a knowing, or was it faith and a hope that you had in your heart?
I think it was hope. I wasn't sure. Faith, I think sure. I don't think I've ever had faith.
Okay.
It was hope that these Bible stories of Jesus were real. It was hope that they all said he's watching you every minute. He knows what's happening to you. You have to do these prayers on your knees every single night. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. Don't know if I believed it, but I wanted that to be true.
Is there anything beyond faith, beyond that?
Yes.
What is it?
I didn't have faith in Osho. I didn't know anything about him. I sat down in front of him and had a direct experience. Not faith, not belief. I had a direct experience of a quality. that my soul had longed for, obviously, my whole life, in drugs, in all that I ever did.
Is that the experience of love?
In love, peace, tranquility, balance.
Safety, acceptance.
Yes, to be seen, fully, totally seen and loved without judgment.
So beyond the teacher.
Yeah, because it's a transmission. Every time I sat in his presence, I went to that state. There were no thoughts. There were no judgments. There was a form of bliss, peace. I could have it sitting alone in my room at the river under a tree.
Do you still experience that today?
Yeah, very much.
Is this something that you have had to learn and practice? Is this something that you got by being in the presence of a master?
Well,
like
he
Osho?
taught us many, many meditation techniques. And I took the ones that brought me the closest to that space. But to just sit in his presence, it was there. That's why we all wanted to be there. I would rush to America, make money as fast as possible, work 15, 16, 17 hours a day, do what I had to do, and get back. I wanted that. I didn't want a minute of missing that.
It's incredibly inspirational. Did that seep into your daily life?
Our life in the ashram was structured in such a way that we usually got up at dawn and went in and did a very powerful meditation called dynamic. I did whatever needed to be done that he asked me to do, and in doing it totally with as much conscious awareness as we could, it was a platform for awareness, to where slowly there wasn't a big gap between being with him and my days, because the days were filled with service. That's where I learned service is the key for all of us. We all have to come to that at some point.
It's central to all of the great teachings, all of the great religions.
Serving. I can remember, often with another person, we would be scrubbing the toilets, like 50 of them, on our hands and knees, singing. It was fine. We were singing. We were happy. We were content. We were filled. So the idea of needing external comforts and things, we sometimes didn't enter our room for more than 2-3 hours to sleep and go back. So we didn't need stuff. Everything was going on inside. Stuff fell away.
Yet Osho had a lot of stuff.
No, he had things that gathered attention and drew people to us.
100 Rolls Royces?
No.
What was?
99.
99, just shy of 100.
But the bottom line was we were in Podunk, Oregon, out in the middle of nowhere. Nobody cared. Nobody was going to visit. Nobody was going to come there. No one cared that we were there. But when he started buying Rolls Royces, the symbol of the rich, the symbol of craving, wanting, you've made it, you have a Rolls Royce. The world started looking. What is he doing with a Rolls Royce? Now it's 2, now it's 5, now it's 10. What is going on there? We want to go there. We want to see his 99 Rolls Royces. Why did he need them? They were a magnet to draw. People came from every country in the world. And they said at the gate, we want to see the cars. We came to see the cars. Okay, fine, we'll show you the cars.
It was incredible bait.
Because in India, it's very common. If you want the guru's attention, you give him gold or jewels or money. So many people gave Osho jewels. He didn't care. He wore diamond watches. They want to see the cars and the watches now. He wore what the world craved. But to be able to see the cars, They had to go on an organized tour.
Mm-hmm.
They had to see the extraordinary miracle we had created. Our water check dams, our complete recycling of all sewage, waste zero. They had to see it all. The cars were here, but the tour took almost an hour. And it ended where they could be in one of our cafes, and there's a bookstore. And many, many, many bought books. Boom.
So these were just tours. These were not people that were necessarily coming to learn the ways of the yoga.
No, they came to see the cars.
That was it.
That was it.
How many of them stayed to learn yoga?
Hundreds
Hundreds.
came back.
That was the goal.
We weren't teaching just yoga.
Everything you were teaching was coming from the yogic scripts
Yeah.
and the tantras.
They wanted to be there. They went home, they read the book, they bought the video, and they came back. Hundreds.
And so for those people that came on those tours,
Hmm.
what happened with them? Are there people that you remember?
For a while, my work was being a tour guide on one of those buses, and I watched them come back into the bus with a book, and the women especially, secretly already looking at it before we dropped them at the drop-off point and asking me really intelligent questions.
What was the aim? Was the aim to educate people, raise their consciousness, gather
No, the
followers?
aim was, he was very clear about it already in India, to create a Buddha field, to create an environment where being there and meditating, working, whatever, would lead you to your awakening, to your Buddhahood.
And so that's what you've created over here.
When I had to look at what do I do with my life, I looked at creating his vision for children where it was needed the most. And I looked at India, and we had the highest infant mortality here in this state and the lowest literacy.
Did this come after you spent time meditating in a cave? You once spoke about a child that found you in the cave that had a cut on their hand.
Not hand, their foot was cut off hanging by a tendon. And I tried to save that child's life. And the doctors wouldn't treat him because it was untouchable, and he died. And that, I said, now I do it. And
So you
again,
had a sense, and then the pragmatism kicked in, and you started looking at things and how you...
I was told to live in the cave. Then the children came. The guru said it was fine if I educated them. I wanted to teach them hygiene, basically, and how to clean a wound before it came to me as an abscess. It was very pragmatic. Children were coming, they were extremely malnourished, 68% of them. We measured according to World Health Standards. They were eating white rice. They didn't grow vegetables.
How old were you when this...
I guess 35?
And you started treating children off the street
Immediately.
immediately.
And setting up classes for the mothers to
Which
know.
city was this in?
Here.
This was here in
Here.
Rishikesh.
Not city. 7 kilometers upriver. The cave. I did all that at the cave.
Which cave is this?
It's next to Pulchoti Ashram, but the Ganga took it. It's gone.
It's a powerful river. It changes the formation of the rocks every year.
Started there and then moved here and continued. I ran a clinic here for 5 years.
How did you manage to open a clinic?
Just did. Hired a doctor and did it.
Was this by selling your clothes? You were still
yeah.
manufacturing, designing, manufacturing,
Producing
clothes.
and selling.
And using those proceeds.
To do this.
So how did one thing lead to another? Did you end up taking children in full time that needed education?
We didn't have a choice. People dropped children on the gate or police. It was between the two.
All ages?
Babies mostly, young.
Unwanted babies?
No, parents dead or murdered each other or murdered, or one boy was with his mother and father and 2 sisters sleeping on the road up here, and a truck drove over them and killed them all except the boy and pushed their bodies over the cliff. And the women, when they came to cut the grass, found the baby boy. Of course we took him. We named him Lucky. He was lucky to be alive. More and more, police would bring us children that had been dumped or abandoned on the river.
Were you teaching?
Yeah, we had a school. We opened a school. And 4 years in, suddenly the war in Nepal became really gruesome. And I had a lot of Nepalis helping me, building for me, and working with me. Same ones who cooked your dinner. They've been with me 30 years. Suddenly, they got me in the middle of the night that I had to come urgent. And I came down to their yurt. And when I opened the flap, the stench was so horrible I started vomiting. A child, the Maoists had taken over a village and had taken a child from a shopkeeper and held his hand in the fire in the middle of the village to frighten the villagers into compliance. And then they walked with that child, with that hand, for 7 days. So it was septic, rotten. Why? And then they told me that that was happening a lot. All the girls were being taken and sold into brothels, and boys were used as human bullet shields. We got him to hospital. We got him at least to, we've now done all kinds of plastic surgery, and he's a yoga teacher and teaches here. But then we got him out of danger. We packed and we went to Nepal, and I started raiding ahead of the Maoists and getting girls out, and some boys. So then I was in active pursuit.
Have you had children of yourself, biological children?
No.
Yet you have thousands of children.
Yeah, don't need to have any.
I didn't know where it was or what to expect, and we walked in and I had watched them sing and celebrate and sing beautiful traditional songs that go with the kirtan and also Western songs, and I heard them sing John Lennon.
Yes.
And Ziggy Marley, I believe, as well, with perfect English accents.
Yes.
Couldn't tell where they grew up.
No, that's the whole idea. Spread to the far corners.
And it brought tears to my eyes. It was such an exceptional moment.
Very special.
And then we came here and we had dinner, and the food was as well spectacular. Having this interview, we're surrounded by hotels that are 8, 10, 12 stories high around.
Illegal, totally illegal.
Around this beautiful, it doesn't feel like a school or an orphanage, it feels like an ashram.
It's an ashram, it's a home. And there's hotels on every side of us. And we've been able to sustain our gardens because we have a stream flowing here. And now they're even taking that. Yes, they're taking that.
I've seen that you're physically surrounded by these towers now with this
Towers.
beautiful abode, teaching children, a school, an ashram, a beautiful community in the middle of all of this.
Exactly.
This land that you've been
30
working on for
years.
30 years. How are you going about this situation inside of you?
Initially, I was fighting. There was only one hotel. I was fighting. We still had all the rest. Now, there's a hotel on every side of us, and they're taking our water, and they've taken our vegetables. I don't know what the decision will be in the court, but they're closing in every single side. I don't think we could survive in here.
You've surrendered to all possibilities and all options. You're ready for any eventuality.
I don't know if we're ready to stay in this danger.
Over here. Anything you'd like to close this beautiful interview with?
We've built this for 30 years. One structure at a time with the minimum money. I did this brickwork, and we need money. A lot. We're talking millions.
Everything is linked to the price of real estate today.
We need to buy and build now. Now. Preferably before monsoon.
I mean, what's a shame is that this is truly a gem in the city over
It
here.
is the gem. We know.
I have no doubt that you're going to keep pushing forward.
I
You've
don't know.
changed the lives of so many that have went on to have very fulfilling and successful lives.
Maybe that's where the buck stops.
Of course, I haven't been in the presence of Bhagwan and Bhajan as well, both gurus, and there's so much controversy. Guru Bhajan more recently, a lot has come out,
Wild country didn't help.
and I haven't gone into the depths of it because I'm not really interested.
No.
The fact is that we are sitting over here today as with you, and that you were a disciple of a guru,
Yes.
and that you also found another guru, three, and that you have went on and devoted your life to service.
Yes.
So to me, I think we can always take away what we want from a story.
We always do.
We always do. And we can always make what we want out of what's given to us.
Absolutely.
And,
Even if it isn't.
and so what I see over here today is really incredible. And you're very clear that this is part of a lineage of teachers and masters, and that you clearly are a part of that, and that there is a continuation of a wisdom and a devotion to service that goes on.
Yes, absolutely. They never met, which is interesting. None of the three, but the message was the same. And the last one was the strongest. If you want to know God, serve the children.
Thank you so much.
So welcome. Thank you. Let's hope this touches and opens some hearts and some pockets. We need money.
I hope so.
Jay!